Here are 3 players to watch in the NCAA tournament that if you don't know, you better ask somebody. Everyone just loves New Mexico to upset number 6, have the potential to go at least one more round. Deron Holmes, Shahade Wells, and Enrique Freeman, 3 players you have to know about. You know, I feel like we have a family, folks. I feel like we have a family. We have a bond. You know, we've built something together that is truly great, and we're just now reaping the benefits of our labor. Thank you for joining me here on a Saturday morning. Mike Randle here with you. I got a double cup of coffee because we're all up late last night, and I wanted to stay on brand. I wanted to stay at 9:30 in the morning, even though the games, yesterday's games, we covered yesterday during the day at 6 o'clock, and then we're covering tomorrow's game Sundays. Now, listen. Put questions in the chat. Ask me about today's games. We can go back and forth. Late games change some things, of course. I got my picks for Sunday. Don't have the props yet. I'm going to be looking at them today. That will be in the Discord as well. Got to get in our FTN Discord. You know the deal. So many great things going on there. And most importantly, use that promo code, which is still live, FTN March. Our baseball team, led by MLB Dream, Frank Brank, all the great baseball minds that we have are ready to rock and roll, ready to move forward, starting on Thursday, opening day for baseball, which is fantastic. We just continue to go. I truly believe this, guys. They fire me tomorrow, I would get a subscription to FTN Bets. I mean that because I love the guys here. I love the models. Frank Brank put out already a tweet, and I'm working on an article about the simulations for the tournament. He's now rerun his sims with a probability of winning Houston versus UConn because Auburn is out. He's been on fire. He made me so much money with conference tournament sims. It's the only place to be. Our models are there, spreads, totals, all the great stuff that's going on. You got to join us. I'm telling you, they let me go. I'm going to be a sub. I'm going to be on the other side of the screen. I'm telling you that right now. Only place to be. Thank you for joining us as always. I'm going to go through the games and then just throw questions out. You got things you want to ask about today, tomorrow, whatever it is. I changed a couple picks yesterday. You know, it's amazing. We're so locked in at this point. That Purdue-Grambling game was so close. And I put up on the show Grambling, but I said I wasn't sure. I ended up rerunning the numbers, going through it again, and I ended up taking Purdue in the Discord, which is why you have to get in the Discord with us because we go back and forth. We have great conversations here, and we hit it with that last-second shot. We knew it was close. So there's some games that are close, some games that are not. We have a great read across the board. I'm excited to be with you. Let's go through it. Here we go. I've told you this all along. I told you this at the beginning of the tournament, and I'm going to stick to it. The matchup that Houston does not want is Texas A&M. They don't want it. And Texas A&M was struggling in that game. Nebraska was hot early. Tominaga was hitting threes, and then they just put the clamps down. They played Texas A&M earlier this year. 70-66 was the game. It was basically a semi-away game. Wasn't at the Fertitta Center, but it was basically in Houston, I think. And Tyrese Radford, their number 2 leading scorer for Texas A&M, did not play. Wade Taylor went bananas at something like 36 points. They lost by 4. They did cover in that game. The idea that this spread is 9.5 is totally offensive. There's no Tugler for Houston. There's no Arsenault. Tugler's the big guy inside who can reject a ton of shots, and Arsenault's the guard. They played in the first game. Tyrese Radford did not play. So the game was 4 points. It was played at a semi-away game, which was a semi-home game for Houston. They had Tugler. They had Arsenault. Texas A&M didn't have Tyrese Radford, and they lost by 4. Buzz Williams is great in these spots. It's essentially now a neutral court. They're going to be physical. They're going to push them, and the line is now 9.5. Makes 0 sense. Absolutely 0 sense. Taking Texas A&M plus 9.5. I'm also going to sprinkle on the money line. I think the Aggies can win this game. I really do. The only way you beat the bully is to hit him in the mouth. You've seen the teams that have beaten the slowdown teams historically. It's because they can slow down as well. Why did Oakland beat Kentucky? Because Golke went ballistic. They scored with them. The way to beat these great teams is to do what they do. Don't do the opposite. This is going to be a war. 9.5 is too many points. The bracket is open for Marquette. And Marquette struggled first half against Western Kentucky. And then Marquette did what Marquette does. Colorado, thank you very much, to the window. Easy win over Florida. I mean, they were dominating, and Florida came all the way back, and they hit the shot at the end. The playing game winner always gets hot. It has now happened in 12 of 13 NCAA tournaments since they started the first four. One of the playing games always goes forward, and the answer was Colorado. Thank you very much. Now, this is where the run ends. Marquette's defense is at a different level. What Marquette was able to do when Tyler Kolek was out was to establish roles for everyone else, to get them more experience, to get them playing, to get them more confidence. And that defense is absolutely out of control. Kolek looked fantastic yesterday. Came in, was great. Whatever they did, it was the perfect amount of rest. I'm glad he did not play in the Big East tournament. That would have been a mistake if he did. They play yesterday. Take a look at these numbers. First of all, they score 87 points. Now, Western Kentucky has the fastest tempo in the country. That's fine. Tyler Kolek, 18 points, 11 assists, 2 steals. Thank you very much. He seems fine. Cam Jones, 5 of 10 from three-point range, 28 points. Ecuadoro, 5 blocks, 8 rebounds, 3 assists. Stevie Mitchell, David Joplin hit 3 threes. Ben Gold hit a couple threes. This team is rolling. They are not going to stumble here to Colorado. Colorado's not winning this game. The number's low. It's going to be close because Colorado's going to get hot first half. Maybe Colorado's winning at the half. I don't know. Marquette's going to pull away and win. And if I know Marquette's going to win, which I do, then Marquette's, I'm not taking the 3.5 for a middle cover. I'm just not doing that. So I'll take Marquette minus 3.5. Can Purdue blow anyone out at this point? Purdue is great, and Matt Painter is very underrated, but I don't think they blow anybody out. Got the Duncan today. They're going to struggle. Great Osobor inside is a problem, and this is a well-coached team in Utah State. Purdue yesterday plays Grambling, who's 261st in the nation per KenPom, and they win by 28 and barely cover because of a three-pointer at the end of the game by Carson Barrett. This is a Utah State team that should be able to match up inside a little bit with Zach Edey. This is a Utah State team extremely well coached under Danny Sprinkle that was number 3 in the country at limiting three-pointers. So if Osobor can at least do something decent on Zach Edey, and they can guard the arc, I think they can cover 10.5. Purdue is going to Purdue. I feel so confident now about Purdue not beating Tennessee if they meet in the Elite Eight. This is what they do. It's not that it's bad. It's just that Purdue is not built to blow out teams, and everything goes around Edey. They don't have a player that can attack off the dribble on the wing. That's the issue. That's what they're missing. They have basically a bunch of stationary guys in Lawyer and those type of players on the outside, and they don't have a guy who can turn the corner and really make you pay. Braden Smith, Lawyer, Trey Kaufman, Wren, those type of guys, Mason Gillis. Now, Lance Jones is okay, and he can attack a little bit, but he's not a big-time scorer. That is the problem. So if you face a team that can at least make Edey not go for 30, doesn't get in foul trouble, and you guard the arc, you can keep these games close. That's the deal. They don't have a player who can turn the corner and get in the gaps. That's what they're missing. Take nothing away. Matt Painter's great. Purdue is great. The criticism's overrated. I don't think they're making a Final Four, and I don't think they're covering 10.5 here. Duke was in trouble in that Vermont game. Vermont shorthanded, which was frustrating. They didn't have their full cadre of players. John Becker's going to get one of these eventually, and when he does, it's going to be a great celebration. But in the Vermont game, Hurley played. He didn't look great. He did make 1 3. You ended up having Veretto was back, but he played 3 minutes. So they pieced it together. But Duke is vulnerable. Duke is a team without an identity. That's what they are right now. Can't really shoot. They do okay. They're spurty. Filipowski was a disaster. I'm going to take James Madison. James Madison, I was wrong about that game. I went with Wisconsin because everyone was on James Madison. Public was right. Hats off to them. James Madison plays up to the competition. They're aggressive. They have high hands, active hands. They're looking for jump balls, and they force you into mistakes. And they took Wisconsin completely out of their game. I don't think Duke has the discipline to win this game. I don't. James Madison is hot right now. Edwards and Bickerstaff have raised their level a different notch. You look at this team and you look at the matchups with Duke. They're going to have trouble deciding who they're going to take away. James Madison against Wisconsin, look at the scoring. 14 points from Edwards, who was in foul trouble early in this game. Julian Wooden ended up putting in 12 points. Bickerstaff put in 12 points. Friedel, 2 for 5 from three-point range, but he can normally put in a lot more. Xavier Brown, who had a fantastic game. Xavier Brown, remember, he was the one put in 21 points against Arkansas State in that Sun Belt final. He can get hot. I like James Madison. And, I did the whole sprinkle on the money line in the first half, in the first round. Take the money line, all the money line underdogs. That cashed tremendously well. I think this is another upset possibility. I'm taking the Dukes plus 6.5 over Duke. I think James Madison is just playing at a level of physicality and aggressiveness. No foul trouble here. They're going to disrupt and cause problems, and they have athletes on the perimeter. Vermont did not. That's why Duke was able to shoot fairly well in that game and pull away. Duke ended up beating Vermont by 17. And if you look at threes, they hit 6 threes. They were great on the interior, and they killed them on the boards, 38-26 on the boards. It's not going to happen with James Madison because Edwards and Bickerstaff can rebound. I'm taking the Dukes there as well. Boy, this was a sweet one. This sweet one. The whole world's on to Mexico. Guards win in March. Mexico. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, great. Clemson's a good team. I know it's Brad Brommel, but the play of Hunter and Schifflin is the X factor. They are good defenders. They hustle. They serve their role. Gerard's a good point guard. Hall just has to stay out of foul trouble. PJ Hall gets some of the dumbest fouls I've ever seen in my life. If PJ Hall gets in foul trouble, this game is toast. But assuming that PJ Hall can stay on the floor, they can make some shots. I think they're going to beat Baylor. I do. And Baylor is sort of one of these sleeper teams that now has a nice, easy path to maybe make the Final Four. And Scott Drew does a great job. But this Clemson team rolled New Mexico. Why? They were 7-21 from three-point range. They weren't great, but they were solid. They were great on the boards, 41 rebounds. Look at somebody like Schifflin had 12 rebounds. Is it possible that Ian Schifflin is going to have that many rebounds in the zone against Baylor? Yes, it is. Jack Clark is a really steady guy. He had 8 rebounds as well. Hall, again, had the foul trouble, but he got 14 there. I like this Clemson team. I think they're talented. I think they have good cohesion. Baylor is sort of a mix of a bunch of different talented guys. Ray J. Dennis, not fantastic. I like Clemson to win this game outright, and I like them to cover the 4.5. People are going to flock to Baylor. I guarantee tomorrow when you're going to see all these points, this money going to Baylor because people are going to think Baylor's going to win this game because they're in the Big 12. So what? Clemson won at North Carolina. They basically won at Duke. They beat Alabama on the road. Everyone's forgetting about that. You have to look at it in totality. Remember when Connecticut won the national title last year, what did they lose? 5-7 earlier in the year. Clemson is talented. I think Clemson's going to the Final Four. I think they're winning this game. I'll take them plus the 4.5. Alabama got us because Charleston just isn't a normal Charleston team, which is fine. No problem. I like Grand Canyon. I think Bryce Drew is pining to get back to a big-time job from Grand Canyon, and he's trying to show that he can do it here. I haven't trusted Alabama all year, and the teams that I've faded or I've supported have not let me down yet. I like Grand Canyon in this game. Last night against St. Mary's, the guards were great. They were only – the funny thing is it seemed like they were great from three-point range. They were not. They were only 5 of 18. So if Grand Canyon, who is a decent three-point shooting team, average, can continue to pressure those guards, they can pressure Estrada and pressure Sears, they can win this game. You look at Bryce Drew in his career. Bryce Drew was at Valpo, did a great job. 28-6, 30-7. Gets the Vanderbilt job. Just a nightmare. 19-16, 12-20, 9-23. Got worse every year. Then he has to take a year off, goes to Grand Canyon. Made the NCAA tournament his first year, 17-7. Then goes to 23-8. Then goes to 24-12, makes the NCAA tournament. This year, 30-4, makes the NCAA tournament. He's trending in the right direction. He's a good coach. He's a good coach. And if you look at Grand Canyon, they're great at turning teams over. They're great at defense. They're great inside the arc. They make their shots. I'm not on Alabama. People love Alabama because, shooting threes and making points it's like loving the home run. Grand Canyon can defend them. Grand Canyon has the guards. Rayshawn Harrison, one of my more underrated players in the country. I love Ray Harrison. Ray Harrison came over from Presbyterian, and he's sort of a wild, out of control guy. but he can do some things. He's a slasher. He can get in the lane on anyone. Had 17 points yesterday, was 7-8 from the free throw line, had 6 assists, does a lot. I love this team. I like this Grand team. I thought St. Mary's was a bad matchup for them because I thought St. Mary's could control the boards. Didn't matter. They were physical. They were aggressive. It was like James Madison. Even though James Madison is going against a good defensive rebounding team in Wisconsin, their effort was just there. Grand Canyon is going to bring the effort. I got Grand Canyon +6 here. This is why you got to be in our Discord. I got this one right away. Northwestern's not beating Connecticut. They're not. No one's beating Connecticut. Connecticut is in the Final Four. Auburn going out to Yale yesterday. And I do think in that game, I want to make a statement. I do think that the ejection hurt them a little bit. It doesn't mean that they shouldn't be able to beat Yale because they were up 10 in the second half. I think 10 or 11 points. But I do think the ejection of Chad Baker Mazzara hurt them because they basically were not able to guard in that matchup Poulikitis. Now, they have enough athletes. They have enough 5-star recruits that they should have done something on Poulikitis, who they would drive, and that player guarding Poulikitis would help, and then he'd be wide open. I mean, it's very simple. What you say, Bruce Pearl, is we're not helping off Poulikitis. We're going to make Bez Mang and Matt Noling and August Mahoney and all these other guys beat us. But they play 5 guys, yeah. They basically play 5 guys, one of which is a shooter, and Auburn kept helping off of him until it was too late. They changed their tune, but at that point it was too late because Poulikitis was in sort of a zone. You saw him doing like the N1 mixtape tour, pulling up. You can't let him get to that point. So I do think Baker Mazzara stays in the game. They probably win, but you got to beat Yale. Yale did a tremendous job, and Yale had a fantastic win, so nothing against them. However, Connecticut is not going to let Boo Buie go nuts. Danny Hurley is too good of a coach. They're going to come up with something for Boo Buie. And if you take away Boo Buie, Northwestern's not going to win. They're just not. So Connecticut's going to win this game. Yeah, I think it was 11.5 or 12.5. I took it right away in the Discord for the subs. It's now up to 14.5. I'm still laying it. I just think Connecticut is that good. I think Collins had to put a lot into that game against Florida Atlantic, and great job by Chris Collins, just doing an excellent job at Northwestern. Superior. He was actually on the hot seat for a while. I mean, give me a break. But they took a lot out of him. Connecticut's ready to roll. They're going to pound this game. Could you get a backdoor cover? Sure. I think Danny Hurley is going to cook up something for Boo Buie. It's very simple. You can double Boo Buie to get the ball out of his hands. You don't help when somebody like Langborn is dribbling. You don't help off of Buie. You just let Langborn beat you to the basket. They have Klingon inside, who is a much, much better big than Vlad Golden of Florida Atlantic. I don't think they're going to cover this game. I don't think they're going to win this game. I'll take Connecticut laying the points. Connecticut's going to the Final Four, folks. No one's being Connecticut. They're not. Not losing Illinois. I love Iowa State. I'd love to be wrong about Iowa State, my Cyclones. Iowa State's not beating them. You beat them. You have to be able to score. You have to be able to match up with the big inside, and you have to be able to guard the arc. And not many teams can do that. Northwestern certainly can't. Chris Collins, great job. If you had Ty Berry, maybe you could keep this close. Nicholson's not there either, so that hurts your depth. Good morning, good afternoon, good night. Connecticut -14.5. And Yale's done. The thing with Yale is they're not a great Ivy League team. They're not. They during the regular season here in the Ivy, they did not even win the regular season. They were number 2 behind Princeton. Yale this year in their matchups, they lost to Vermont away on the terrible comeback. They lost to Fairfield at home. They lost to Weber State on a neutral. They got smoked by Gonzaga. They lost to Princeton and Cornell back-to-back. They lost to Brown at home in overtime in the regular season, which could have given them an Ivy League regular season title. And they had needed a miracle last-second shot to beat Brown in the Ivy League tournament. They're not a great team. They don't have to be. They just got one of the greatest wins in the last 25 years of the tournament over Auburn. But all they have is Danny Wolf inside. Danny Wolf was limited by Auburn. Auburn did a good job on him, as I knew they would, and he fouled out. Danny Wolf in that matchup he ended up having 13 points, but that's because he went 4 or 5 from the free throw line very late in the game. Danny Wolf was only 3 of 10. So now they're playing San Diego State with Jadon Ledee, who's turning into Shaq. So he's going to take care of Danny Wolf. So again, we have a Yale team playing San Diego State. And the question is, can John Poulikitis pull another rabbit out of his hat? Brian Dutcher went to a finals last year. San Diego State is an elite defensive team, probably better schematically than Auburn. Auburn relies on athletes to get around the perimeter. San Diego State's actually going to scheme stuff. They're going to shut down Poulikitis. They're not going to watch the film and say, gosh, he was 6 of 9 from 3-point range, and the rest of the team was 3 of 11. So you know what? Let's just leave him open. When they attack the basket, when August Mahoney attacks the basket, let's help to August Mahoney and leave Polikitis at the three-point line. I don't think they're going to do that. I think this line's wrong. I think San Diego State wins by a lot more. Hats off to Yale. Tremendous, tremendous win. They're not getting this game. San Diego State in the Sweet 16. Excellent job by them. Comments are flying, guys. Here we go. We can talk about today's game. We can talk about tomorrow's game. I don't have props in yet for tomorrow. Those will go in the Discord for FTN bets. Remember, FTN March gets 35% off. Here we go. Let's see. Howie. Yeah. Howie, my thing was this. There are teams that are really great mid-major teams that are active. I did think the Grand Canyon game was going to be close, but I thought St. Mary's would pull ahead late because they have guards that can attack. Drake doesn't have that. They don't. Washington State is a better, solid, fundamental team. Kyle Smith's a really good coach. The big guy inside Isaac Jones is a problem. Brody's not going to do much in that matchup. That was the thing. People are underestimating Washington State. You know how hard beating Arizona twice is? You know, beating Arizona at Arizona, you know how hard that is? So in that matchup against Drake, they won by 5. Aiton Wright was phenomenal. Aiton Wright was the player that was wrecking the game. DeVries was okay, 14 points, but Washington State is a really good defensive team. He was only 1 of 4 from three-point range. Brody, 13 points, fouled out of the game. That's what I thought. And on the other side, Isaac Jones, 20 points, 11 rebounds, 2 blocks. He's a good big. He's gonna beat Brody. So yeah, I just didn't like it. You know, James Madison, public was right on them. On this one, I thought they were wrong. Yeah, Drew, I guess it was, with Wisconsin, I guess it was law of efforts. That's what it is. Wisconsin was great early, absolutely horrific. I thought James Madison would be a little sloppy here. I remember when they beat Michigan State was only 1 of 20 from three-point range. It's 5%. They were dominant. It was a dominating performance. Wisconsin couldn't get going. When they get buried by 10, the game is over. Great win by James Madison. Great win. Superior job. Well done. Mark Byington, the Dukes, looked great. Nothing to say. Yeah, I think 10 is too much. And I'm fine. Yeah, I don't think they're beating Purdue. I don't. I do. People start thinking Purdue is like some horrific team. Purdue's really good. Matt Painter's a really good coach, but his style is almost similar because he has Zach Edey. So if you get Zach Edey, you have to play a certain style. It can't be pressing up and down the court. Edey is a legendary player in college basketball. So he has surrounded Edey with 3-point shooters. That's what he's done because everyone's going to double Edey and they're going to kick out for shots. They're going to try to get in the gaps. They're going to try to rotate the ball. Edey is a great passer as well. So I give Purdue credit and Painter credit for building a team to the style. I just don't know if that style can win. I think back to Kansas when they won the national championship. I think it was over Oklahoma with Danny Manning and the Miracles. Danny Manning was a big. I was 6'10", I think he was, 6'10". So, but he was more versatile. He could dribble, he can attack. Edey's a back to the basket big. The one thing that Purdue is missing is the slasher. The one thing Purdue is missing is like the Terrence Edwards-like guy. If they had that, I think they could win a national title. But the way they are is a bunch of stationary players around the outside, pump fake, Baylor Shireman would fit in great with Purdue. That's what I think is a little sketchy. That's why I don't like them. But Howie, if you're coaching Purdue and you have a 7'4" kid inside, what type of team are you going to put together? So I think Matt Painter's done a really good job. And I think they get this game, but I think they're always vulnerable and they're always going to struggle to cover because I just think if you press them and you can be active and you can double down quick on the Edey and get out to the shooters because they're not driving, I think you cover the game. Let's see. Jason, Tennessee is going to beat Texas. Tennessee going to beat Texas. Rodney Terry, that's not happening. It's just not happening. I think Tennessee. Remember last year, Jason, I'm going to refer to you last year. Remember last year when Tennessee played Duke in the second round? And everybody liked Duke. Duke's really good. Filipowski. Okay. Everybody's excited. Tennessee blows their doors off. I think same thing happens here with Texas. Texas is fine. Dessou wasn't great in the first game. It's not going to be great today against Adu and those big guys inside. Vescovi, by the way, has got to be the best third guy on any team. I mean, he's great on defense. He's outstanding. I think Tennessee blows their doors off today. I think blows doors. Totally feel that way. JMU and Grand Canyon again. Yeah. Howie, I'm not a believer in Duke. They haven't been consistent. I think John Shire has done as good a job as you could following Mike Krzyzewski. But are we impressed with them? Is Filipowski, has he been good besides tripping people? What did Filipowski do yesterday? In a big game against Vermont that was frisky for a while, what did good old Kyle do? Let's see what he got. 3 points. 3 points for Kyle Filipowski. 3 points. 0 of 1 from the field. So is he great? And on the outside, Jeremy Roach, 14 points, so he looked better. Nice to see him back. Proctor's always solid. You got to watch out for McCain, but that's it. Their bench stinks. Stewart, Blake's, they're not good. I think Jamie does it again. I think Grant County does it again too. I do. Yeah, I don't care about the points, Jason. I don't. I Texas all year long. I faded Rodney Terry only because I think it is tough when whoever it is, when you take over for a program, you take over for a coach like Chris Beard, you have a great first year because players are set. Second year, you really have to grow. Sorry about that. Rodney Terry could be a great coach for Texas. I don't know. But it just sometimes he struggles. And I think that second year is tough. You're going against Rick Barnes, who say we want about Rick Barnes, 5 straight years in the tournament, Sweet 16 last year. Now they have Ziegler back, who they didn't have last year. It's not like everybody gets on Virginia because they lost that game to UMBC. They forget that DeAndre Hunter wasn't in that game. Well, DeAndre Hunter doesn't matter. It's been a starter for the Atlanta Hawks for 10 years. Last year, knows Kai Ziegler. It matters. So I'm like Tennessee in this matchup as well. Trevor in the house. Yeah, I want to get it out. Let's keep it. We don't have to go early, but we want to enjoy the games today. So let's get it out early, buddy. That's for you. Let's see. Clemson again. I like Clemson, Howie. I have all year. Why do we read the games? Why do we do the metrics? Because we end up liking a team. We're not going to leave our wingman. I think Clemson beats Baylor. I do. I think Clemson go in the Final Four. I've said it. I think this is the blow-up bracket. I really do. Eric in the house. You got it. It was a great day yesterday, Eric. We had a rough start. We had a rough start to Thursday, first half of the day. Then we had a good ending, and we had a great Friday. So let's see. Maybe we keep it going today. Perky Bumps in the house. Perky. Should have put some Sambuca in here, guys. Didn't do that. Trevor, here's the deal about today's game. Remember, these are the picks for tomorrow, Trevor. But I can go over. I did it yesterday. You can check it out on the YouTube channel here, yesterday's show. I like Oakland. I am not a believer in Kevin Keats. I am not a believer in NC State. I think this magic ride is going to end. NC State was terrible at outside shooting. Now they've gotten really hot. And I think they've benefited for some really nice matchups here. So let's take a look at them really quickly. So they played Texas Tech. Texas Tech, Williams played. He was fine. Warren Washington was okay, but not great. And you had Burns with 16. You had Horn with 16. You had Diarra for 17. Mohamed Diarra, I'm going to read you his game logs. Mohamed Diarra, starting with March 2nd. 4 points, 10 points, 5 points, 4 points, 8 points, 14 points, 9 points, 11 points, 17 points. One of my favorite fades today is Mohamed Diarra under. I'm going to tell you that right now because Mohamed Diarra is not this big of an offensive impact, but he did a nice job against Texas Tech. That's great. I don't trust NC State. I don't. I think Campy's going to come up with something. He's a brilliant X and O coach. I do expect, believe it or not, Oakland to continue scoring like they can. I think Trey Townsend can have a better game. Jack Olke may not go 10 of 20 on 3 dribbles, but Jack Olke should hit some shots. Blake Lampman had a terrible game, and he can regress and have a much better game. He's a guy who's had 6 of 18 from 3, 4 of 11 from 3, 8 of 13 from 3. He's only 1 of 5. So Blake Lampman can have a much better game. I like Oakland. I like Oakland on the money line. I really do in this game. Hurley's on a mission, Howie. And I give Danny a lot of credit. Danny growing up got a lot of criticism here. Bobby's better. They were clapping in the stands. Was a good player. Was a really good college player. But he's got a chip on his shoulder because of it. He's got a little bit of an anger, and I like it. I had a chance to meet with Bobby Hurley once, tried to recruit him to come to the school to coach. We had a coaching opening, and there was a discussion about him possibly coming. So I had to go meet with him and just talk to him a little bit. He's a great person, and they're blue collar people. They're hardworking people. They're brilliant basketball people, and the family's great. The mother's great. Bobby's fantastic, but Danny has that chip on his shoulder. Danny has the strength. Danny has the intensity, and he's not taking his foot off the gas. They are not losing. They're going to the Final Four. The only chance was Auburn, and now Auburn's eliminated. Rob, I get it. It was a bad game plan. Baker Mazzara goes out. You want to say that hurt them, I guess, but they were up 10 in the second. They covered the first half line for us. They covered the 6.5, which was great. They didn't cover at the end, and it was a terrible game plan against Pulikitis. Listen, if John Harbaugh and the Ravens, the number 1 rushing team in the NFL, can play the Kansas City Chiefs and only run the ball like 3 times in 2.5 quarters, Sometimes coaches come up with terrible game plans. And Pearl obviously thought that Poulikitis would not beat them and thought they could get enough in transition. And he thought Janai Broome could limit Danny Wolf. Well, Janai Broome did limit Danny Wolf. They did get some in transition, but Poulikitis went nuts. Don't help off Poulikitis. I don't want Poulikitis shooting 1-3. I don't want him shooting one open three. He got hot. And when you get him hot, I coached high school basketball. You've seen this. When a team that you're superior to, you let them, as John Malkovich says, rounders, hang around. When they hang around, the kids who aren't good are going to start making shots. That's the problem. The kid like me with the headgear and glasses, who was the last kid on the bench in his freshman year, he's going to start making open threes because that's what happens. You have to bury Yale. You have to bury them early. He didn't do it, and he paid the price. That's what it is. Let's see what else we got. Let's see. Brett, warm up. Yeah, they are, but Wisconsin had beaten teams that were actually more athletic, but they were out hustled. And when you get hit in the mouth, you can either fight back or you can just fold. And Wisconsin, guard's got to get a little bit more on the sideline too, Brett. He's got to. Guard is he's there. He's trying to be this cerebral guy, kneeling down. Got to bring a little passion. He had the interview there, and he said, "I got to get on the officials a little more." You don't have to get on the officials anything. The officials were fine in this game. What you have to do is tell your team to play harder, and they didn't. Flopkowski, very funny. Iowa State, Washington State. Yeah, I do. I don't mind the under. I think Washington State's going to cover, Howie. I put this out there yesterday on the show. Iowa State is a wonderful team. I love Wizard of Oz. I love TJ Alsenberger. Lipsy is really coming to his own after being a deer in headlights against that horrific collapse against Texas Tech a year ago, and they're up like 20 with 10 minutes left, or 30, whatever it was. But I think Washington State's going to cover. I think it's too many points. At some point, Iowa State is going to have a bad offensive game. That's what Iowa State does. So the question is going to be, when that happens, can their defense get them through? This is a frisky one. Everyone's underestimated Washington State because they're West Coast. No one watches the West Coast. East Coast bias, yada, yada, yada. Washington State's really good. This is going to be a problem today. I think it's going to be close. Join Jen. This is funny. The line came out right away, and it was Gonzaga -1.5. And I took the Zags -1.5. Then it went up to 4.5. So on the show yesterday, when it was 4.5, I took Kansas. The number is too big. So if it stays around 4.5, I'll take Kansas. But I did grab it, full disclosure, in the Discord at -1.5 because I think Gonzaga is going to win the game. I do think that. I don't think Kansas, with their limitations on their bench and no Kevin McCullough, is going to beat a well-coached team by Mark Few. I don't. But 4.5 is a lot. So I know it's like a weird middle, and that you're probably saying, well, if it was 1-7, you could middle. But 4.5 is too much. So when I give my recommendations to all of you, it has to be based on the current line. 4.5 I thought was too much. I got it right away for the subs at 1.5. Hopefully they grabbed it as well. Tanner, they played well. They played really well. Vermont, John Becker's going to get one, but they were just a little limited. Duke made some threes, and they didn't shoot well from three. If Vermont's going to win that game, they have to shoot well from three. That's the issue. Let's go Finns. Yeah. I think did I pick Michigan State? I think I did. This is a rough one. Izzo versus Hubert on a short turnaround. The number was high. It was 4.5. Now it's 3.5. I took Michigan State, and that's what's funny. I did not like Michigan State against Mississippi State, but sometimes things happen that change that game. Walker for 3, Akins for 3. I think Hogarth hit a 3, and then Matthews for Washington State. Mississippi State gets in foul trouble. That's their second best scorer. He's out. Then Tulu Smith, and then just dominoes from there. So, for example, today, if RJ Davis gets in foul trouble right away, I think Michigan State's going to win. And on the flip side, if Michigan State comes out and can't hit the broadside of a barn from 3-point range, I think UNC is going to win. But the pick is made with assuming normal variance, assuming that Michigan State makes a couple threes and there's just normal, not terrible foul trouble for North Carolina. I'm going to take Michigan State. I took it at 4.5. It's down to 3.5. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, Frank's in the house. Yeah, buddy, Frank. You're working on the models, man. Good to see you. Burns versus Lampkin matchup. It's going to be great. Burns versus Lampkin would be, he wants the big man on Colorado versus NC State. Don't we all? DJ Burns has been great. I keep ripping on him, Frank, because I just think there's a limit. but he's been fantastic. I mean, remember the Escalade with the N1 mixtape tour? I mean, this guy has been brilliant. It's the run he's been is absolutely incredible. That is it, I think. Golke had 8 contested 3-point. Yeah, he did. He did. And he got hot. And you can't let him get hot, but he did. And that's what it was. That's what it is. So again, these games are picked, guys, with all assuming normal variance. We're picking the games here, and I'll give you an example. So if Jamal Shed is 7 of 9 from 3-point range, well, Houston probably going to win and cover. But I'm assuming that we're going to get decent Wade Taylor. I'm assuming that Radford's going to be able to do some things. That's all you can do. And that's why that first game, those first couple games on Thursday, we had some bad variance. Gonzaga turns into the Golden State Warriors from 3-point range. Creighton is bombing from half court. No one can stop them. But what we want is normal regression. If we get that, I think we have a shot. Give me Great Osobor. Give me Great Osobor here getting 20 and 10. Don't give me Great Osobor with 2 fouls against Zach Edey, and he's going to have 40. So that's what we're talking about. In-game lines, live wagering, got to be in our Discord here. FTN March, 35% off, always available. We're good, guys. Going to take a break. Going to exhale. Going to enjoy the games. Content will be rolling. Power rankings will be up. Simulations will be up. We'll have an update on that article as well. We'll have staff picks, Sweet 16s picks. We'll be back again next week. I'm working on whether it's Wednesday or Thursday, probably Wednesday to give you time for the picks there. So we'll be a day ahead like we're doing here. As always, hit the like, subscribe button. We appreciate you as always. You've been with us all the way through the year. We're going to have a good end of the year. Fire it out. The Discord is hot. FTN Bets, only place to go. I need a second cup of coffee. I was up late with those games. Let's go Clemson. Let's see if we can get it. As always, love you guys. The FTN family, get to the window. We'll see you next week. Here are 3 players to watch in the NCAA Tournament